We have our first giant slaying. Germany are out of the World Cup! For the first time since 1938, Germany have been eliminated in the first round of the World Cup and suffered their first ever loss to an Asian team in the process. They qualified as easily as expected and looked like one of the favourites to win the competition, claiming a record equalling 5th World Cup trophy. But after some shaky warm-up friendlies, the Mannschaft were unable to course correct and finished last in their group behind Sweden, Mexico and South Korea. Let's take a look at what went wrong for the Germans with the 10 reasons for Germany's early World Cup exit. Number 10. Opening loss to Mexico. Being heavy group favourites, there must have been significant pressure on Germany ahead of their opening clash with Mexico, but that doesn't explain how they managed to lose the game without scoring a single goal. The game set the tone for the rest of the tournament though, with Germany having vast majorities of possession and significantly outpassing their opponents while unable to find the net. Losing an opening group game is mentally tough for any team to come back from at the World Cup when you've only got 2 more to recover. Doing it against a significantly worse team on paper can be even harder. Number 9. VAR. When South Korea scored in extra time, it was the nail in Germany's lacklustre coffin. But without the video assistant referee, it wouldn't have been given and Germany could have still found a late winner. The linesman ruled the goal offside when it first went in, but the VAR review clearly showed it was Toni Kroos who'd played the ball back toward the path of Kim Young-won, who put it into the net, and the goal was counted. After conceding, the game was essentially over, with the deflated Mannschaft needing 2 goals in 6 minutes, when they'd only found that many over the last 270 minutes. Number 8. Lacking a goal scorer. The World Cup's all-time highest goal scorer, Germany's Miroslav Klose, retired at the end of the 2014 World Cup, and Germany haven't really replaced their line leading forward. Despite being one of the team's stars, Thomas Müller isn't a natural number 9, so the role was given to Timo Werner, who'd had a good season for RB Leipzig, but at age 22 was a long way from being the same level as some of the elite goal scorers at the competition, like Lukaku or Kane. The lack of outlet showed as Germany bagged only 2 goals across their 3 group games, a far cry from pumping a punishing 7 past Brazil. Number 7. Aging stars. One of the biggest factors in the team's poor performance may have been age. They were only joint 6th for average age as a squad at 27.1 years old, but were incredibly reliant on a core of starting players in Neuer, Boateng, Hummels, Hector, Khedira, Kroos, Ozil, Royce and Müller, who were all north of 28, and largely played long domestic seasons too. The best substitute they had off the bench to affect a game was 32-year-old Mario Gomez. Klose and Lahm were notable retirees in 2014, but by the time the next World Cup rolls around, it'll be a very different looking Germany squad taking the field. Number 6. Young stars excluded. Löw's most crucial omissions from the squad were the game-changing youngsters Leroy Sané and Mario Götze. Sané was easily the biggest exclusion after he was passed over for Julian Brandt, despite winning the Premier League's Young Player of the Year award and scoring 14 goals under Pep Guardiola. Brandt barely featured, showing Löw didn't trust him, whereas Sané could have affected the game whether he'd played on the wing, given them a more dynamic option than Hector on the left flank, or even played through the middle. He was precisely the kind of player they needed. Ditto for Mario Götze, known throughout Germany as the Wonder Kid. He was injured for a large portion of the season, but that didn't stop Manuel Neuer or Marco Reus getting a call-up. Unsurprisingly, Germany played predictable and boring football without 2 of their most exciting players. Number 5. Key players missing. There's no doubt that even without the exclusions of lightning rods like Sané and Götze, Germany still had more than a talented enough squad to win the tournament again. But the players Germany did take didn't show up when needed. Jerome Boateng, once one of the best centre-backs in the world, was sent off to cap a pitiful performance against Sweden in their second game. Thomas Müller and Julian Draxler were both dropped ahead of the must-win South Korea game. Kroos looked adrift with Sami Khedira supporting him instead of Luka Modric. Mesut Ozil was ineffective as his worst performances at Arsenal, and Bayern Munich's new star signing Leon Goretzka was woeful. Number 4. Stale tactics. Germany played in a similar style that they did last time out, because if it ain't broke, why fix it? But after each tournament, every other team sets out to best the champions, and unless they've innovated, 4 years is a long time to expect other teams not to have caught up. Mexico's coach after the first game revealed he'd made a game plan based on how he'd expected Germany to play, down to even the substitutions he'd expected, and it worked. As teams like Leicester and Liverpool have shown since the last World Cup in 2014, games are no longer necessarily won by possession and the superior players. Pace, speed and quick thinking are deadly, but Germany looked slow and stale. Number 3. Complacent performances. The tactics may have been dry, but there was still no excuse for how poorly the team executed them. In the game against South Korea, the right-back Joshua Kimmich looked like the brightest player on the field most likely to have an impact. Few others appeared near match sharp or at their peak performance. Perhaps they were a little too confident in the famous quote from former England forward Gary Lineker: "Football is a simple game. 22 men chase a ball for 90 minutes, and at the end, the Germans always win." They were complacent, slow, sluggish, uncreative, and generated no interplay, passing rhythm, or width as they tried to force the ball down the middle. It was a million miles from the ruthlessly effective German machine that's dominated internationally in the past, and both Löw and Hummels admitted after the game that they didn't deserve to go through. Hummels even went one step further by admitting that they hadn't played a good game since August 2017. Number 2. Poor decisions from Löw. The tactical predictability and uninspiring squad selection were far from the only issues with the team, but they all rest with Jogi Löw. The German coach was being linked with the Real Madrid job until it was filled, but it's hard to see a major club coming in for him after his showing by this team. Rather than innovate either tactically or with his personnel, he stuck with the winning formula from last time, and their World Cup this year suffered for it when he failed to motivate the players he was so reliant on to get the job done. Even his substitutions, both to the starting 11 and in the games, failed to have any impact. He failed in nearly every aspect of his managerial duties this time out, and the buck stops with him. Number 1. The curse of the champions. Ultimately, the reason for Germany's abysmal showing may simply come down to a weird quirk of sports. It's difficult to win a title, but it's even more difficult to defend it. 4 of the last 5 World Cup champions have failed to get out of the group stage of the following tournament. France in 2002, Italy in 2010, Spain in 2014, and now Germany in 2018. But people knew about it and still expected different from the Germans. They'd always been too consistently good for the complacent malaise that scuppered previous winners' title defences. They'd won the Confederations Cup since the last World Cup. They'd overhauled their youth academy, but none of it was able to prevent the curse of the champions from crushing Germany's dreams of a repeat and a record-equalling 5th World Cup. What do you think is the reason for Germany's shocking early exit? Given the pattern of recent defending champions, is it even that shocking? Let us know what you think in the comments below, along with what other videos you want to see, and give this one a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel so you'll see us again soon. Thanks so much for watching, I'm Lloyd Mallison, and bring on the second round.